Wild Thyme Cooking with Allison Davis is brought to you by Cornbread Kitchen and Bath.
Welcome back to Midday Kentucky. Chef Allison Davis here in the Wild Thyme Kitchen over in the Shinaway Shops. And this week I'm talking about some classic American dishes. And in terms of Kentucky dishes, I don't know that it gets more classic than with cornbread. We're going to kind of juice it up a little bit with some jalapeno and cheddar. And instead of a white cheddar, I like using an aged white, instead of an orange cheddar, red cheddar, I don't know, sharp cheddar. I like using an aged white cheddar instead. I love that white melting cheese in the cornbread. So we're going to start here with our jalapeno. If you like the spice, if you like the heat, then I definitely say just chop the whole thing and include the seeds. But a lot of people are a little bit shy of that, so you just want to take those seeds, kind of remove those, because that's where you find the heat. So we're just going to take this jalapeno, kind of cut it into some thin strips, and then we just have a nice fine dice on our jalapeno. And then we're just going to build our cornbread batter. This is going to go into a hot cast iron pan, which I already have working in the oven, so that it will almost sizzle, you know, as it comes out. So, all right, we're going to start with our mixture. My grandmother taught me this a long time ago, and this is the ratio. It's always a 2-to-1 cornmeal to flour ratio. So I have about a cup and a half to 2 cups of cornmeal, and I've got about a cup of flour. So it depends on how much cornbread you're making or for how many, but always a 2-to-1 ratio. We're going to sweeten it, of course. We're in the South. We're going to add a little bit of sugar in here, about 1/4 of a cup. I like to season with a little bit of salt, and then I always like to add a little bit of black pepper and some Cajun seasoning, which I've got right over here. So I'm just going to sprinkle, you know, maybe say like a teaspoon or so of Cajun seasoning in. But again, I like a little spice. I like a little, you know, garlic, paprika, all that good stuff. So Cajun seasoning is a great way to go. All right. In addition to that, we're going to go ahead and add our white cheddar. Okay, we're just building a batter here. Our cornbread, our jalapenos, if I can remember what I'm working with here. I always like to add a couple of eggs into the cornmeal, because that egg is going to serve as a nice binder to help bind the cornbread together. All right, and then of course we have to add a leavening agent in here, so we're going to add roughly a tablespoon, I'll just do a couple of teaspoons here, about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of baking powder. That's really going to help it to rise and be nice and light. All right, we'll just give this a little stir here with our eggs, and then the final thing that's going to go into this is going to be our buttermilk. Okay, so buttermilk is my go-to because it's just rich and creamy, and it really makes for a nice dense and just rich cornbread. All right, so about 2 cups of your 2 cups of your buttermilk, sorry. And then my final thing, it's a must, is adding some melted butter in here. You can't have a good cornbread without a little bit of melted butter. All right, so pour that melted butter in there, and really this batter should kind of be liquid and smooth. It shouldn't be really thick. And as this cooks, it's just going to cook up beautifully and brown. All right, I just pulled our cast iron pan out of the oven. I'm going to put a little bit of butter on the bottom there. You'll see how it's just melting, and I love to add just a little bit of salt. I'm telling you, once you flip that cornbread out, you're going to love that butter and salt on the edge of the crust. Okay, we're going to take our cornbread here, and we're going to just add it into our pan. Again, it's really hot, so be very careful. And then this is going to bake up. And then I always like to serve it with just a little bit of honey when it comes out of the pan. And I'll show you guys that in just a little bit, but this guy is ready to go. We're going to go in. I like to go in at about 400 degrees and really just let it cook till it's nice and brown. And once you insert that toothpick, it's coming out clean. All right, you guys will be able to find this recipe at middaykentucky.com/recipes tab. I'm Chef Allison Davis. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be right back after this short break.